I think I figured it out. I think I have my firm opinion on Cybertrucks now. I already had, the surface level opinion that everyone has, which is like, oh, those are ridiculous. But I didn't have much below that. But I got it now. I now know how I feel about Cybertrucks because I thought of it the other day. You see, I don't like to just form a opinion real quick. You ever see people do that? I've never liked that. When people, you give them something to taste, you're like, oh, try this very decadent chocolate. Go ahead, tell me what you think. It's amazing. You're going to love it. Oop, I'm saying too much. Spoiler alert. Go ahead, try it out. And the moment that thing, I've talked about this before, I think. The moment that thing touches their lips, they go, oh, amazing. Wow, that is the best thing I've ever tasted. I'm like, well, how is that possible? Because you haven't even tasted it yet. It hasn't even reached the back of your goddamn mouth. What do you mean? You're still pulling into the driveway. You can't tell me that you're parked already. You bring that garage door down, it's going to snap that car in half. That chocolate is not in there. You don't have a fully formed opinion. Go ahead. Swirl it around there. Give it a little taste. People do that with wine. They swirl around wine. They swirl it in their hand and they swirl it in their mouth. It's like, how much swirling do you need to do, huh? I said that like there's nothing funny there. But you need to swirl your chocolate. Don't just let it hit the tip and then be like, oh, what do you, nope. Nope. I can't say that joke because it's not appropriate for the internet. But people, I feel like they form opinions too quickly. Too quick to have an opinion, but I'm not. I take my time with that shit. So much that I think it pisses people off sometimes. They'll give me something to eat. I'm chewing on it. They're like, so? And I'm like, yeah, give me a second. Okay. I'm still eating it. And then I give an opinion. I like to sit on things, think about them. And that's how I felt about a Cybertruck. I knew immediately I got a bad vibe from it. I remember I saw my first Cybertruck on March 15th on my way to a Kings game. And already, bad vibes, right? I already saw that it was a big safety hazard. I saw one glaringly obvious safety hazard about a Cybertruck. Not for the person driving it. No. For the people around it. Person inside the Cybertruck, they're fine. That thing is like a steel cage of titanium. It's like a bunker on wheels. You don't have to be worried. Unless you're trying to put something in the trunk and then quickly, oh, wait, don't close yet. And then it snaps your fingers off, but that's a whole different thing. That's why a lot of reviews for the Cybertruck, they say, I gotta hand it to it. Get it? Because you give your hand away when you try to shut the trunk because it doesn't shut properly. It doesn't have a safety control where if you put like an appendage in there, it'll just snap that shit off. There's another bad joke there too, and I can't say it because it's not appropriate. It's good to keep things appropriate, right? It's good to be good. But I didn't really have like an in-depth explanation of why do I not like Cybertrucks? What about it? I can't explain it. I just know that like, ooh, it's not a bold or like brave opinion to have. No one really likes them. A couple people like them. And I think a lot of them, within the people that like them, there's a large demographic that just likes it to be different. To be like, I like the thing everyone doesn't like. They're contrarian, right? That's what they call them. But I figured it out. I think the Cybertruck gives me the same feeling as when you see an antagonist in a movie. The villain, it's an interesting character, right? When they come on the screen, you can't look away, but you hate them. And you know that everyone else watching hates them too. But you can't look away. You're like, I wonder what they're gonna do. I'm curious to see how they behave. But I don't like them. I'm preying on their downfall, but I am intrigued. And that's exactly how I feel about a Cybertruck, because I saw a Cybertruck on the road the other day. And I looked at it and immediate disgust filled my body. And I was like, wait, does everyone else, I mean, we're all seeing this, right? Like, I feel like if you're on a road and you see a Cybertruck, I feel like my eye can only go there and then it doesn't go away. And I wonder, do all the other drivers around me feel the same way? Do they see a Cybertruck and they go, yeah, there it is. There's one of them. And that's how I feel about villains in movies. Everyone in the theater sees the villain come out. And we all are like, ooh, I wonder what they're going to do. But we all already kind of are like, yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this person. Fuck them. I can't look away, but fuck them. I hope they don't succeed in the end, but I am intrigued. And that's how I feel about a Cybertruck. I keep staring at it every time I'm on the road with one. I keep saying like, oh, I wonder how it's going to switch lanes. Like any other car does. It's not interesting. It's like a poorly written villain. That's the worst part. There's no intrigue even there. There's no depth to that thing. What you see is what you get. So it's like an uninteresting villain in a movie. In that I feel like when it shows up, everyone that sees it is kind of like, ah, fuck that. But we can't look away. And it's true. I do like to see it move. I know I say it switches lanes like every other car, and it does. But the way it accelerates is so interesting. Because it's like a big metal brick. And the thing I said about earlier on March 15th or whenever that was, about it being a safety hazard to others on the road, not just because it would be an eyesore, but because it would actually blind you. And that's not a joke, not a hee hee ha ha moment. When it's a sunny day, as it was on March 15th, and you're driving right behind that thing, the sun points on its back, right? And it reflects off of it right into your eyes. And I was blind. I couldn't see shit. And I was like, yeah, it's a giant mirror that's just driving around the road. That's dangerous. Again, not for the person in the Cybertruck, but everyone around it. It's hurting our eyes for more than one reason, aesthetically and solarly. What did this guy just say? Heliocentrically. What's up? And I just like watching it on the road, just like I like watching a supervillain in a movie. But it's kind of like a sad supervillain, like I said, because, yeah, it does go 0 to 60. It goes right off of a red light, you know? When it turns green, it just accelerates and it goes. And then when you guys meet up at the next light, and you're just side by each other again, you're like, why did you do that? Like, there was no reason for you to speed up back there because, well, we're both here. It's like a supervillain with a jetpack. And he takes a jetpack everywhere, but it only ever hovers a foot off the ground. And it's like, well, I feel like we're getting to the same spots at the same time because we're in like a big city. And by the time you're at the crosswalk, I'm already there too. So I feel like, yeah, it's really showy. It's really nice. Everyone around you hates you, but it's not better. So what's the point? And that's just my opinion of Cybertrucks. I think they're very interesting, but I feel like everyone hates them. They're intriguing, yet they garner hate. They don't garner hate. Yes, they do, actually. I feel like some people are actually like, man, fuck that. I don't like that. I don't really do that. I'm not that attached to the hate game. I'm not like a certified hater. I am with some things. Not that. I don't really care. I feel like if you already bought the truck, you probably hate yourself enough. I don't need to add on to that. That would just be diminishing returns, right? Counterintuitive. What's the point? It's like putting more whipped cream on a shake. You don't need that. So why do I need to add any? I don't. You got it. You're fine. I haven't met anyone in real life that likes Cybertrucks. So who's buying them? I don't get it. Again, this is a tired take. There's nothing interesting that I'm saying here, but I just wonder who likes them. Because now after a long, 4 months since I've seen one, I figured it out why I don't like it. It's the same reason I don't like Disney villains, you know? What's that guy, Randall? Randall from Monsters, Inc.? Every time that guy gets on screen, what's his name? Randall Boggs? I think that might be right. Every time he gets on screen, you're like, man, fuck that guy. But he looks funny, so I want to see him do stuff, you know? Man. I realized that I'm a big fat liar. I noticed myself doing something this week And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't used to do that, but now I do this. If someone is showing me something on like a screen or like a, what do you call it, projector? It happens at work a lot, right? It's like at the end of the room, it's up there. I find myself looking at it and going like this. I can see it. I don't need to squint, but I keep squinting at the screen just to show that I'm active listening. There's other ways you can active listen, but I find that this is the most like corporate active listening. It shows, I don't know what it is, but it feels so natural at this point. Because if you're squinting, it means like, oh no, I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get it, and I'm trying hard. That's why I'm doing this. And it's phony. I can see the screen. I don't need to squint, but it's a way to show the presenter like, oh, he's taking this in, because I'm like, and then you give a little nod. Sometimes you go, mm-hmm. It's always that, a nice lean in, a squint, a nod, and then a retreat. As you were like, yep, I took that whole thing in. Now I'm just listening to you. You remember taking your driving test? There are things you have to do, right? So you get a good grade. And one of the things I would always not do, I guess, well, I did do it, but it didn't look like I was doing it, is check my mirrors. My mirrors? I would always check the middle mirror and then the side mirrors, but I would never move my head. And I remember when I was learning how to drive, my dad would always tell me, well, you got to fully move your head, or else how are they going to know that you're looking at the mirrors? I'm like, well, they should know, because of how well I'm driving. He's like, but they don't know. And then you're going to lose points. You're not going to get your license. I'm like, damn it. So I remember in my driving test, I would do the whole thing. I really put on an act out there. I would go, end scene, just to show them that, yeah, I'm looking. Because what? They're going to take my word? We're going to end the test. They're going to be like, you didn't look at any mirrors. I'm like, yeah, I was. I looked. I went like this. And they're like, yeah, well, sure. But how am I supposed to believe that? I wasn't watching your eyes. I was watching the road, because it looked like you weren't. And it's like, oh, easy. That felt very pointed. And that's what I am doing in my adult life now. At work, I'm trying to show that, no, I'm listening. So I'm doing these exaggerated motions that aren't required, but I do them to be like, no, you got me. I'm here. You got to be the person in the group, that shows you're listening, even when a person's lost the attention of a bunch of people. You've seen that, right? This is a classic. When you're sitting in a circle of people, you're out, hanging out, someone starts telling a story, and a couple of you are locked in, but then suddenly all the troops drop out, and now you're the lone soldier on the battlefield. You got to make sure that person feels like they're being heard. And I found that I've taken up that duty when it comes to a corporate job. I'm the active listener. And I don't take that lightly. Okay, I put my all into that role, into that job. But it's all fake. But it's okay, right? It's okay, because you're doing it for a good reason. To show that they still got you. So then it's fine. But I need to come clean, because I haven't told anyone this yet, but it's all fake. I don't need to squint. I don't need to Ariana Grande, this shit. I can just sit here and be like, just take it all in, but I don't. There's a thing I feel like, it goes along with that other thing about working in the corporate world, where it's like, oh, when you look busy, it gives off the idea that you are busy, and it's just like an extension of that. It's just me being like, no, I'm soaking it all in, even though I'm closing my eyes, so I can't even see it that well. That's the thing. The squinting doesn't help. It's just like, it's a mental thing where you're like, this is making it better, but now everything's blurry. So what am I doing? I got these so I could see better. I don't need to go like this, unless it's like a presentation on interpretive art, and they're like, you gotta squint, turn your head sideways. If it's that, then it makes sense, but it's not. There's a bunch of bullets up there. Speaking of bullets, I know we all saw it this week. I don't need to talk about it, but I do want to say one thing. because I haven't heard anyone say this yet, and I would like to make this point. If I was applying for a job, if I was going for a job, in the application process, and someone tried to shoot me in the head, I wouldn't try to go for that job anymore. I'd take like a year off. I would, like, is that crazy to say? I wouldn't want that job anymore. You're letting them get to you. That's exactly what they want you to say. I know. It's a joke. But can you imagine you're like trying for a job? It's a little less, not as high stakes. Trying to work at like Best Buy. You're walking through the parking lot. Someone tries to snipe your head off. It's like, oh my God. I don't need this job at Best Buy anymore. I know the other job is more important. But if I was also like in my 70s, I wouldn't want to do that shit. I wouldn't even. Aren't we not allowed to like drive by that point? Why would I want to fucking run the country? That sounds annoying. That's one thing I've never understood. If I was that age, no. I wouldn't want to work. Hell, I don't even see how I want to work in like 5 years from now. What are you talking about? So if I was applying, see, when people apply for jobs, it's such a nerve-wracking process, right? You're like, oh my God, am I going to get this job? I have no idea. Planning out all the stops. I got my references. I'm studying all the talking points. I'm going to ask questions at the end. You go through all this bullshit. And then imagine if someone's trying to kill you. I wouldn't want the job anymore. I'd find a different job. There's enough out there, right? Talk to a career counselor. Go up to them and be like, hey, someone tried to kill me when I went for my last job. What do you think they would say? They'd be like, yeah, find another one. It's not worth it. Also, the pay. What are they only getting $250,000 a year? That's not worth it. Getting shot in the head? I wouldn't want that. For $250,000, you would have to at least put one mil on the table. Okay? At least. If you can't. If your salary is one of the winning options in Deal or No Deal and it's not the highest option, it's not worth it getting killed. What are you talking about? Your salary is like what? The fourth best amount of money you can win in Deal or No Deal? It's not worth it. Dying? No, absolutely not. That's all I'll say about that. I'm sorry if I'm like a little off. I was like, should I address this or should I not? I feel like absolute dog shit right now. I've been sick, like, that's the thing. I'm not even like sick, but my whole body feels like weak. I've had a gnarly sore throat. It's not COVID, but I feel like complete dog shit. I feel like my brain isn't even working right now. So just, if my voice also sounds weird, I apologize. And I know this isn't going to be the best episode. Oh, Gauruv, are any of them? Shut up. It's an overused joke, Gauruv. Did you even tell? I'm gonna keep it trucking through these points I have because man, I feel so weird. I went to lunch the other day. Oh, here we go. I'm like sweating so much. I hope it's not like coming through, but I feel like, oh my God. This is actually perfect for our next topic. Speaking of hot things, these are hot wings and hot questions and even hotter wings. My name is Sean Evans. Okay, we're losing it, but we're gonna bring it back. A couple weeks ago, right? I went to lunch, and it was at a Chevy's Mexican restaurant, and they brought out a plate with all the stuff, and then they brought out some extra plates, and she put the plate down. Before she even had a chance to say it, I went for the plate, I grabbed it, moved it over, and she said, oh my goodness. I was going to tell you that's a hot plate. I don't know how you just did that. And the adrenaline was still pumping because I was living off a high. Because I was like, oh, you didn't think I could handle that, did you? But I just did it without even flinching. But then quickly, when the adrenaline went away, I was like, fuck, that actually hurt a lot. I didn't realize it at the moment because at the moment, all I could think of, like, look how cool I look to this Chevy worker for picking up that hot plate. She even said, she was like, oh, I don't even know if I could have done that. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, no big deal. This is just what I'm about, hot plates. And I wonder, do you ever go for the hot plate? Because I know there's people in my life where Heat doesn't affect them. It's really weird. Boiling pot of water, they just dip their hand in. Hot cup of coffee, no condom. What do you call it? What do you call the what do you call a little waistband it wears that keeps it a normal temperature? Whatever that thing. You know, the one. It's weird. We got rid of straws, but we still have those fucking what's the point? Oh, but they're paper, right? That's why we can use paper straws but not plastic straws. These are the policies we should be focusing on. But I wonder, do you go for the hot plate? Do you not care? I don't think I can do it. I did it there because I'm brave and strong, but like, I don't think knowing if I think too much about it, I don't think I could do it. You know, I can perform when there's pressure and it's game time. It's a game time situation. I can pull up from 3, the game on the line. But if you tell me, hey, you got to go in and perform like that, I'm gonna get nervous. I don't think I could do it. I'd get inside my head. What a dumb point, huh? Hey, here's a thought. This is why, yeah, there's people make those jokes about there should be rules against buying podcast equipment. Because do you realize what I just did? I was just like, hey, do you touch really hot things? What do you think? I don't. So do you? Why? Why do we... This doesn't need to exist. Let's keep it trucking though. This is a really good point I thought about earlier this week. Imagine, do you know what a postmortem is? Have you ever done like an event? And then at the end of the event, I got an example for you. When I was in high school, I was in this club called NHS. And at the end of each event, we would do these events. After each event, we would always not go home. We would always go back to a classroom, all of us, and we would do a postmortem. And basically what it is, it's a quick overview of like, okay, what went well and what went poorly. And we, the scribe takes notes. No one ever wants to be the scribe, but the designated scribe takes notes so that for the next event or, the next group, the next year, they know, okay, maybe some things to consider when we're throwing the same event or if we're throwing another event. And that's called a postmortem. I have them at work sometimes too, whenever there's a work event. The day after the work event, we take like a whole half day and just, sit in a conference room and discuss, okay, what went well, what went wrong. Everyone give points. As I do, and I'm sure you do too, randomly, I'll think about that idea that the sun will blow up one day. Isn't that weird that the sun's just going to blow up one day? Obviously, it'll be a little farther out. I think we'll have a couple more solar eclipses until then, so it'll be worth it, right? We'll still get to see cool things before that happens. But it got me thinking, I'm like, God damn, there are a lot of people that have ever lived and will ever live until the sun blows up. And I wonder, will there be a postmortem with every human ever after the sun blows up? Because then that's kind of a wrap, right? On humankind, if we don't get to another planet and inhabit it. The sun will blow up, the earth will die, and that's it. So then will we all gather in a room? Because we were all part of the event. Will we all gather in a room and be like, so what do we think? What went well? Huh? Crumble cookies. That was a weird thing. Probably shouldn't have done that, right? And it's like, really? That's where we're going to start? I feel like we have a lot of things to go, like religion probably. We should probably start a religion. No? Okay. Crumble cookies was sort of a religion in its own. Okay, I see the argument. Okay. You two crazy cousins. I see what you mean. And then it got me thinking, if we do have a postmortem, right, with every human ever in a room, be a big room, evidently, I don't think the people we find popular today would be popular there. Like, I feel like it'd be a whole different dynamic. Like the guy that invented like a PB&J sandwich, I feel like he would have like high importance. Like, I don't think a lot of people would care about LeBron that much. Like, LeBron's dope today, but at the end of humans, I feel like we wouldn't really care about a really good basketball player. We would care about the people that really made the things that counted. We would care about the things that were made and then used by people like LeBron and myself included. The people that had enough influence to where all walks of life use their thing. Like the inventor of a microwave. I feel like that guy will get like kind of a top seat at this place. Because wow, a lot of people are using his thing. How many people have a Lakers LeBron jersey? I rest my case. How many people have a microwave? How many people have a Lakers LeBron jersey? Need I say more? And I wonder, what would that look like? That postmortem? You think it'd be funny? Or it would be depressing? And would it be long? Do you think there'd be snacks in the hallway? What hallway? Great. See, these are all great questions. Alright guys, is it GIF or GIF? Let's just put that to rest. I don't think that would even be mentioned at the postmortem now. Also, does this mean that we would get Earth 2? Or like or like humans 2? And this also opens up the idea that, wait a minute, Gauruv, are you saying that when humans go extinct, they're all going to have a postmortem? What about species that have already gone extinct? Such a good point. Such a good point, right? Aren't white rhinos extinct or something like that? We're just going to say white rhinos are extinct. Are there some group of white rhinos just sitting in a conference room together being like, all right, I'll say it. I feel like we made our horns too big. I don't know. These things are kind of annoying to lug around. You know, at the zoo I was stationed at, they named me Pinocchio because of how big this thing was. Those fucking idiots, this isn't even my nose. It's a horn. It's so different. But I don't know. Would that happen? Is there going to be a postmortem? Because how are we going to know if we're going to run this back? What are we going to do better next time, right? I feel like, we haven't run a perfect game so far. I can say that much. I can't speak on individual topics, but I can say we definitely haven't been bowling all strikes. I'll say that much. I think we could benefit from a postmortem. Actually, in fact, why don't we do that now? Every 10 years. Why don't we all just kind of get together and be like, all right, what's working? Why is it that New Zealand shipping is so expensive? Can we like work on that as a group? Oh, it's actually very simple. And then you start to identify little bottlenecks you didn't even know were there. It's like, oh, you guys are using like, what are those things called? Mules? They're not donkeys. They're not horses. They're mules. You're using mules to like transfer Amazon packages across New Zealand. Well, there's the delay. That's why it costs $37 to buy a t-shirt that's $20 from New Zealand. Because you're putting that thing on the back of a donkey. I guess we found the root of the problem. I guess we found the ass of the problem. And then when they fix it, it'll be a kick-ass solution because they're going to get rid of mules. Oh boy. What is this guy on about? What the fuck is he talking about? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But I wonder, you know what? That's an assignment. Do this for me, right? We've been doing good on comments and likes. Thank you so much for that, by the way. I would like to genuinely hear. This is a little creative exercise, I suppose. And everyone has to do this week to get your discussion points, okay? This is participation. You have to do this. I want to hear, what do you think is the most important thing that would be said at a human postmortem? What went well? What needed to be better, you know? Let me try to give an answer for both. Like I said, PB&J's stroke of genius. I like what you did there. I feel like wind was cool. I know humans didn't, probably we don't have control of wind, but I feel like a nice breeze on a summer day. I mean, how can you beat that? That's nice. As part of the human experience, I like that we have whatever sensors in our body to feel that. That's nice. And what went bad? Well, this 25-year-old started this podcast, and some people force themselves to listen to it. Okay, easy. That's targeted. Jesus. But Jesus has some notes at the postmortem. Oh, man. I talked about names in a previous episode, right? But I would like to revisit that topic because I realize I don't like when people try to give me nicknames. It feels so out of place. It seems like they're stepping way out of bounds with that because it's like you don't really know me. It's always people that don't know you that well that try to give you a nickname. It's like, hey, you're late to the party. Don't try to set the rules, okay? You can't show up late and then be like, play this music. Shut up. This week, someone tried to give me the nickname Slick G. I didn't challenge it at the time, but I'll say here, I didn't like it. And I remember this isn't the first time I've been tried to get a nickname pushed on over me. When I was in elementary school, I remember I used to always play Foursquare. You remember that game? Is it Four Corner or Foursquare? It's Foursquare, where you try to hit a ball to each square and you move up in a square when you know the one. And I played against these two twins. We had a budding rivalry in elementary school. I remember their names, but I won't say them here. And I remember we would play Foursquare, and to get under my nerves, they would call me Garfield. I would show up and they'd be like, hey, Garfield, ready to lose again today? I'm like, man, fuck you guys. You guys aren't even original, okay? Since day one, you guys haven't been carving your own path. Stupid. But I've never liked it. And this time, the Slick G thing, like I talked about in previous weeks, I was called Darth Vader by a guy. By one guy. And that's fine. He didn't try to get the group to call me Darth Vader. And the rest of the group knew my name. The problem with this occurrence, the Slick G occurrence, is that they were saying it in a way that was like, hey, Slick G, right, everyone? Isn't that Slick G? I'm like, it's no. Don't try to curry favor from the group to call me a thing you just thought of. And it's not even interesting. It doesn't have an origin. It's not like I did a thing that elicits me to be called Slick G. It was just a thing that they were like, oh, this should be his thing. No. No. I know the real reason is because this person can't say my name properly, so they were trying to give themselves an out where it's like, no, everyone calls him that. So it's not weird that I call him Slick G, because we all do. But if you ever try to give someone a nickname, please check yourself. Because what are you doing? Where do you think you get off? Why you? What do you think makes you so special that you should give someone a nickname? You come into someone's life 25 years in, I'm talking about me as an example, and you're like, yep, I'm going to give him this shit. Unless I'm a professional athlete, don't give me a nickname in my 20s, okay? Or later. If not, I don't have any nicknames. Like, I don't have anything that people call me. So unless we're in a relationship, don't give me a pet name, okay? Don't call me anything else besides my name, okay? If you fuck it up, that's fine. We'll go through it together. But don't make some cutesy bullshit like Slick G. It doesn't even mean anything. And it's always the people you don't even like. It's like, of course, you're trying to get... You know what? Actually call me that so I don't feel attached to you. How about that? It'll make me feel even more far removed from you, more than I already am. Call me that made-up name. It'll make it easier for both of us. We both get something. It's really a mutualistic relationship, isn't it? Quid pro quo. We both get something. But I don't get the nickname thing. I've never given someone a nickname. In my head, I do. I think I might have talked about this before. There are people in my life that when I think about them in my head, it's a completely different thing than what I call them. I usually have never called them the thing I say in my head. My friend Andrew Hoyer. In my head, whenever I think about him, I always think, what is it? What do I say? The Voyager. Because when we were in 3rd grade, there was one of our friends, Jacob. He would always call him the Voyager. And no one calls him that now. But in my head, whenever I think about him, that always plays. Like I call him Hoyer, but in my head, I'm like, yeah, Voyager was doing this, and I don't know why that is. But I would never call him that. But it's in there. My friend Tyler Holland. In my head, I call him Bosco. I don't call him Bosco in real life. And I would never do that. It is his middle name, so it wouldn't be that weird, but I don't do it. I don't try to force a name on people. If you want me to call you something, let me know. I'll call you it. But I will never try to force a thing on you. Hey. For Tyler. What's up, Twisted Tea? It's like, oh God. Oh God. Oh, here he comes. Oh no. Because I know my place. I'm not going to overstep those bounds, okay? It's an unspoken thing. It should be. And that's what's so concerning. Is that it seems like in this game of life, there are preset rules. Rules that we must all follow as people. And so when they do something like that, I'm like, you're not playing by the rules. And that's exactly how I feel about people that own Cybertrucks. I look at that and I'm like, you're not playing by the rules. You're fucking this up for everyone. You're putting that eyesore on the roads, and now you're making all of our driving experiences that much more miserable. This is like driving when your Bluetooth isn't working and you can't listen to your songs. So then you gotta just listen to the radio and you're like, what the fuck? This is just driving, but with a slight difference that is pissing me off. Usually I'm used to seeing cars, right? Other cars. And then I see a Cybertruck. I'm like, what is this? Same thing with music. I'm used to listening to music. But listening to music on the radio? It's the same thing, sure, but it's worse. It's a thing we have figured out, right? We have Spotify, we have Apple Music, we have YouTube Music. We have a Honda Accord, we have a Honda Civic, we have a Honda Odyssey. I only know about the brand Honda. Are there other ones? I'm not sure. We already have all these things at work. Why are you using a radio? Why are you buying a Cybertruck? What the fuck? And I know I'm not big on nicknames, but it does seem like as a society we have given a nickname to Cybertruck drivers. Because it seems like every time you talk about them, people are calling them losers. But can't talk. But if you listen to this podcast, you're not a loser. You're a winner. So make sure you leave a like on this episode. I apologize for how probably weird this episode was. I'm like LeBron. I'm seeing double rims right now, and I'm just trying to shoot at the middle one. What? I'm seeing 3 rims. I'm shooting at the middle one. And that's what this episode was. And I'm going to have a cup of tea and probably just fucking go to sleep after this. So yes, before I turn British, make sure you like this video and comment on it. Because I need engagement more than... What do I need engagement more than? I already run out of engagement jokes. Ooh, I need engagement more than a social media consultant for a big corporation, right? Because if they don't get engagement, how do they convince these big corporations that they're actually useful? And then they come into these meetings and then they say, yeah, don't use that keyword. Awesome, I get $30,000 for that. But yeah, I need engagement more than that person. So make sure you like this video, leave a comment, and I will talk at you next week. Okay? Bye.